Hey guys, welcome back for another video. I am really excited to do this one. We have the brand new AIO-6 combination here, specifically for my motorcycle, for my needs and wants. And we're gonna go through all of it. This is gonna be a long video. The AIO-5 review I did, which I have right here, and we will be directly comparing, of course, was over an hour long because it had a ton of stuff to go over. But they have so much more packed into the 6 that they've changed, improved upon, and added to. Elephant in the room, and I'm going to address this straight up. This is the most expensive dash type unit out there on the market for good reasons. It has features flat out that nobody else has. It has performance that nobody else has. You pretty much pick a feature, pick a benchmark, pick anything about it, physical, software, options, anything. This is top of the line. They make their own stuff. You're not gonna find this under any other brands for 20% of the price on AliExpress, which pretty much all of the other brands, yes, you can. This is their own stuff. I'm not kidding, it's all industry leading. Dash cams, for example, 60 FPS. They're optional. You can put whatever kind of package you want together. And this is only about, I don't know, 10% of what they offer. We've got an industry first quick release kit, and they've got multiple of them for different applications. I'll go through all that. So for security reasons, I know a lot of people have said, I really want a dash system, but I don't want to have something sitting on my bike locked down that I can't take with me because somebody is going to try to steal it. And before, all you had were these kinds of DIN connections. Sometimes they were under bike panels, sometimes out in the open, depending on the model. And you'd have to, if you, for some reason, did want to take one of these off, the 5, you'd have to undo all of this every single time you wanted to take it off the bike. No more with the quick release kits. This should open the door for a lot of people. Up until this point, it was only for some BMW models that you could use the 5 with a BMW only bracket system, but now it's universal. Some things have carried over, like the remote control and the excellent, again, class leading TPMS system. These are lighter and smaller by far than every other system on the market, be it another brand or any standalone units. I've tested them. With these, it really removes, at least for most bikes, the necessity to have metal valve stems. You can still put them on, it's still a good idea, but they weigh almost nothing. They're fantastic. And then as the name LTE hopefully implies, they have 2 base models of this now. If you have, like I do, a standalone GPS tracker for your motorcycle, that you can use an app to see where the bike is, get alerts if it moves, that kind of thing, guess what? Now it's all built in to one unit. And it's pretty much like a Tesla. You can use the cameras, if you have these, to monitor for theft, to automatically start recording if your bike gets jostled, all kinds of good stuff. We'll go through it in full detail. And they give you a SIM included with 2 gigs worth of data. No fee, no plan, you just add more data when you need it. And it's about 10 bucks a gig. So let's unbox what I've got here real quick. The TPMS and remote, they are unchanged, so I'm just gonna briefly go through those. Hopefully you've seen my 5 review. Got some tape here. Oh yeah, I forgot how they do this nice boxes, just like Apple. All right, here we go. Now, as hopefully the other part of the name should immediately tell you, the biggest difference between this and the 5 is 1. 1 inch. Oh yeah, nice satisfying peel. We've got a brand name on the bezel. I'm gonna reserve judgment about that. My initial reaction is I would prefer it without anything like the 5. On the 5, they put it on the back here. So let's compare this real quick. That is a significant difference. Going from a 5 to 6 something diagonally definitely makes a big difference. That, I mean, looking at it side by side like this, it's hard to go back. Now, I really like the 5, especially where I have it mounted, or had it mounted, in between my bars at the base. That's probably where I'm still gonna put this, but now this will have to be a little bit closer as my bars diverge to give me this needed space. It's a good inch extra width. But yeah, that's just... Now let me take the bezels out of the equation. Hopefully you can see where they are right there. So that's bezels lined up. It's still an inch. The bezels themselves are about the same overall. So yeah, that's just a huge difference. The more I look at the brand name here, the more I don't mind it. It is very tastefully done. It looks high end. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. That's cool. Let's look at the back here. This is the all new part. We have a interface here for the quick release bracket. Now, if you don't want to use a quick interface, you still have their awesome mounting system here. So we can put on a RAM ball, for example, and then boom, the world is wide open for mounting it wherever you want. On the top, we still have hard buttons, which I absolutely love. One to take you home, one to start CarPlay, Android Auto, one to turn the screen off and on, and I think this goes to Dashcam. I'm reading it upside down. You get the idea. You got 4 dedicated buttons. On the side here, we've got a door, presumably for the SIM and SD cards. Nothing on the side, nothing on the bottom. It feels like very dense, high-quality plastic. It's almost a magnesium feeling plastic, if that makes any sense to you. That almost metallic, and then some carbon fiber look to the back here. And then examining the bezel, we've got 2 status lights here. Probably one for recording and maybe a green one for something else. I'm looking for a light sensor. I don't see one, obviously. It's not on the sides. Nothing on the back. One thing I'm not certain of, I think they did, but I need to see if they built the GPS into the body. I think they did, but I'm not 100% sure because I haven't seen anything about the marketing. That's one thing that kind of bothered me about the 5. They had what looks like a GPS bump. In a lot of other brands, that's where they put it. But in the 5, it's an external GPS puck that you have to plug into one of the wires and then mount the puck somewhere with a line of sight to the sky kind of thing on the bike. Hopefully that's all built in, but we'll see when I go through the box. And then we have, should be all the wires and accessories. Got a user manual and safety sheets and a quick install guide. Inside the accessory box, got a whole bunch of stuff. First up, we have a proprietary ball mount. This is not a standard 1-inch RAM ball. Got a keychain, some wire taps and zip ties if you are in need. Some Velcro wire organizers. It looks like a little reflective decal set. And a bar mount adjustable bar. And this is metal, quite hefty. This will go on any standard motorcycle bar, and then this can rotate around, and that will give you positioning to mount this if you prefer to do that. And then there are 3 size rings that go inside this to fit any size bar. Now, if you're not going to use the quick release kit, they do have a standard 1-inch ball that's optional. And then we've got a set of tools for things like the door on the SD card. And then last but not least, the power wires. Now it's a 2-part kit this time. We've got the 2 battery connections, or in my case, Fuseblock. They go to the familiar screw-on DIN plugs, and then they take over here with this extension, and it goes into the unit via a USB-C type connector. So that's one of the base units. If you don't need the LTE, you can save $100 right off this and get this whole kit just without the LTE function. And you don't have to use their SIM card, they just give you it for free, at least if you're in the US. You can also use your own, but if you do that, there is a small service fee. The tire pressure monitor sensors are pretty self-explanatory. We've got 2 of them. They pair Bluetooth to the device. They have these optional security nuts that you can put on your valve stems below them. And then we have a dual purpose wrench here. One is to get on those nuts to tighten or loosen them. Completely optional. You don't need them for function or anything. And then the other side is for using as a spanner to open them up. You unscrew them, you get a little button cell battery in there. Likewise, the remote control also pairs to it via a Bluetooth connection. And I actually already have one mounted on the bike. and I did a separate video for just how I did that on the FGR to look absolutely stock. It works wonderfully. So I'm not going to unbox this one right now, but I'll show you it on the bike, and the link down below is to the video for specifically putting one of these on your FGR. Now we have another star of the show, brand new cameras, brand new sensors, double the frame rate of the 5s, 2K in the front, 1080p in the back, and it still uses the blind spot monitoring, so you get that protection built into the system. We've got a manual here, pretty much just how to plug them in. The cameras themselves are the same form factor, just nice little tight bullet types. Adhesive for the mounts. Here's our front, here's our rear. So just one nice big long cable, and these are just the rings that attach to the mounts. And you get a wrench for tightening the mount bolts. And here we have the standard quick release kit. What this gives you is a 2-part bracket. One goes on the back of the unit, the other stays on the bike. This is bolted onto the back of the unit, goes into the single USB-C connector. When you want to take it with you, you just press this in the back and the unit pops off. This stays behind, and that's all people see. These wires run down out of the way, and they plug into your standard wires that you normally have. Not sure what's in here, so let's take a look. This is undoubtedly a cover to cover the contacts here. That's a great idea. I was wondering if they were just weatherproof. They're probably weatherproof, but they stick out because they're male pins. So those would be unprotected otherwise. So you can just snap that on. That's neat. Nice thought there. I hadn't seen that before. Now this little guy, it's a triangular bit, so it's definitely a security bit. Now what's really cool about this entire quick release system, and it is a system, it's not just this one bracket. Here's the cool thing. So you've got this standard part that goes on the bike, right? You bought one kit, you got one bike, you put this on, you can take it with you for security. Great, you're done. What if you have 2 bikes? What if you don't want to have to buy another $400 dash unit? You can just buy another bracket for a second bike and then plug your whole thing bike to bike. What if you want to put it in your car? Guess what? They sell one on a suction cup, and you can put it in your car. So it really turns the whole system into a modular universal kit. And if you have a BMW, it can go into that bracket. So they got 4 different quick release options. Definitely industry leading. And then the last bag I have, I'm assuming it's the SIM card, but I will be the first to admit I am no expert on SIM cards or mobile stuff. I just have no interest in it, so I always let my wife do that for me. Yeah, it's a SIM card. I'm not sure if those numbers mean anything, so I'm just gonna cover them up. All right, let's go out in the garage. I got some installing to do. So to keep this video as short as possible, I'm not gonna show all the detailed wiring. I already did that, and if you need to see that on the FGR, I'll link down in the description to just the section of the 5 install that shows all that. So I'm just gonna install the 6 now and then show you what I did. Making my way through the install. I got the rear camera installed, cable tucked up inside the fairing, comes in through here, past the airbox, wraps up around here, joins the power cable, and then both of them go in through the frame on the other side. Got the Fuseblock there. They go in behind here and then join up with the master battery run, and I'll tuck them up and everything will shoot through the front hole in the frame where all the quick connects are going to go. Front camera I haven't mounted yet. What I wanted to show you right now though is the ram ball mount onto the quick connect unit itself. Here we have the plate that faces out. So this is what it's going to connect to the unit. This is the little spring-loaded release latch here. Now it's got a little optional lock screw right here on the spring, and that goes between here and the top plate. So what you can do is screw that down if you want to lock it, and then you won't be able to push this to release it. So that's if you want to lock it in the connected position. And that has that special little triangle bit. So these are not apt to have a driver, but obviously you can shove something in there. If they really want to get it, they're going to get it. So the ball mount is a little different. Here's the plate on the 6. And here's the plate from the 5. The 5 had these uncaptured nuts on the back, so you have to be careful when you're screwing everything down, the center ball and the 2 mounts. The 6 has everything integrated into it, so that's a nice little improvement there. And now I fully realize why they give you this cool little keychain tool. It's just for the security screw. So it's right here on the back. And if you want to lock it down in place, you can do so. So now with it locked, you can't push down the release lever. And with it unlocked, you just push down on the lever. Now put it back on, put the bottom slot in first, give it a squeeze up top, and you're back in. I put in the included SIM card and one of my SD cards, and I have to say I love how much space they give you to easily get that card in and out with your finger, and it's spring-loaded. No tools needed. All right, ready for first boot. I'm super excited. Now I have to say this is a very early sample and the firmware is in very early stages. So I do expect the odd bugger here or there. Not concerned at all about that. CHIGEE has been awesome. I got a little chime there on the boot up. They've been awesome about firmware updates for the last year on the 5. So the first thing I'm going to do is connect to my network and apply any firmware updates. And I'm +5, I believe, here in Eastern Standard Daylight. Now, I don't know if this is the device itself or it has something to do with the SIM card. I don't remember if I had to do this on the 5 or not. Just don't recall, that's all. There we go, just took a second. So now these are just info screens. Yes, I have a fast card in. Cameras are mounted well. I will have to align them, of course, and then set up the blind spot monitoring. They give you some calibration lines to turn on to do that. Oh, cool, it automatically updates, love it. So yeah, we're not quite to version 1 yet on the firmware, still in testing, but we're gonna go ahead and update to this latest version. Update failed, please retry. All right, we'll retry. Update failed, please retry. Wonder if I'm already on it. So it says 0.9.6 is the latest. And I'm on 0.8.2. Before I do that, let's try the beta update channel. If you click here, check the test version. It looks like text instead of a button, but it's a button. That will prompt it to check for any beta downloads. But I have a feeling it's going to fail the same way if the released one didn't. Connect to network, I'm already connected. Must have disconnected me, that's all right. Should have the password and everything saved, so it should auto connect. And then we'll see if it auto checks. There we go. It looks like the beta is probably the only one. Okay, there we go. So, no, damn. I was hoping that was gonna go. It started. I was gonna say it probably didn't go because it was a beta version. I just had a thought, maybe it's requiring the card to be pre-formatted. I just stuck in one of my cards. Yeah, there we go. That's exactly what I was thinking, because I just stuck in one of my random cards for testing, and it needs card space to do an update. So maybe if this card wasn't formatted, it didn't know to do so. All right, so now we're formatted, and now we should be able to do, if my theory is correct, an update. So it's auto-detecting speed. I have a high speed Samsung professional card in there, I believe, at the moment. A little arrow there. I wonder if that's update, and it is. So it's stopping the auto recording. Update check. Should have the network stored already. Should auto try after it connects. All right, cross your fingers. That looks good. All right, let's finish this. And just a tip, if you're gonna be running anything like this for any period of time, obviously I'm doing a bunch of videos, plus we've got all the setup to do for the cameras and pairing the remote, pairing the TPMS, all that kind of stuff. Your bike is going to be on for a while. A lot of motorcycles have very tiny batteries, And this will very quickly drain it. So if you have a battery tender, definitely plug it in while you're doing all of this. Now it finished the download, it auto rebooted, and it's doing the update now. This usually only takes about a minute. I was gonna clean my fingerprint smudges off there, and it reminded me to tell you about a lot of new stuff that they just came out with. Not only do they have the glass screen protector like they had on the 5, they have a crap load of accessories now. I mean, all kinds of stuff. Like this remote here, this is a standard bracket that comes with it. It just happened to fit my bike absolutely perfectly. I mean, it looks stock, but they now have more bracket options. They've got specialty stuff for specific bikes to mount different things. They have cases available because it's now available in the Universal Quick Connect. Not only do they have the screen protector, they've got a rigid frame. They've got a full silicone case, so you don't have to worry about dropping it and accidentally breaking it. So now this should be the first boot on current firmware. And there we go. All right, so this is our home screen. This is all new software. Absolutely nothing is carried over from the 5. All right, let's go through some settings. First thing is, where is settings? Gear icon. All right, display and volume. Let's see what our options are. Wow, I was gonna guess that is near full brightness. We do have the auto, just like the 5. So let's turn it all the way up and oh my goodness. Okay, the phone is auto exposing, but that is significantly brighter than the 5, at least on the white parts. The text is really popping out. All of this looks really nice, but it's a gradient. MCU upgrading, that's new. I didn't do anything. I guess it's maybe a latent part of the firmware update that it just downloaded. Not sure. That could very possibly pop up at a very inconvenient time though, if you didn't happen to notice that. All right, it rebooted up again. Let's go back into settings here. Display and volume. So the auto, oh, there we go. That was weird. Maybe it just takes a minute there to automatically adjust. Let's try that again. Let's go back up to full. Oh, now it's quick that time. All right, I'm gonna leave it on auto because I wanna see how it reacts. Obviously it's gonna go to full brightness during the day. Okay, there's another pop-up. 4G module can be upgraded, sure. Okay, so note, if you do a firmware update, make sure you let it sit here for a few minutes and do its reboots and sit again and wait for it. I don't know how many of these it's gonna go through. You're learning with me. So that took about a minute. Coming back up, hopefully. Okay, I don't know if there's gonna be more. So volume. I actually don't use the volume for beeping or feedback or anything like that. You can't hear it if you have earplugs in especially anyway, so. Let's see, the touch tone. I did learn that on a lot of these, there's other menus and you can scroll sometimes with your finger. So there may be stuff below here that you don't know about. So there isn't in this case, but I always check that. So touch tone is the beep when you touch something, and the startup sound is that ding, ding, ding. I don't care about any of that. I could just leave volume all the way up, I suppose, and just turn these off. And that'll do the same thing. Storage, we already formatted. It's a 64 gig card. eMMC and SD card. Oh, that's the internal. I forgot it's got a little bit of internal storage. Features. Aha, so here we can start actually setting stuff up. Time, did it automatically set? It did. That's cool. That looks good. Yep. Sunrise and sunset. See, there we go. You can scroll to find other stuff. I like it if they include little arrows to let you know, or if there's, let me see if it goes away. Okay, maybe I didn't notice it. I'll have to go back and actually look when I'm editing to see if that scroll indicator was there or not. Sometimes I've seen it, not necessarily on the CHIGEE, but on other units. There is no scroll indicator until you scroll, but that's fine. I would like to see it a little more prominent. Maybe see how it goes a little brighter when you start moving it. Keep it bright all the time. It's much more useful. That's easy to miss compared to it bright. 24 hour. No, I don't like 24 hour. I prefer AM PM. Tire pressure monitor, we'll set that up. Now you can pair directly to a headset. I have no idea why you would want to though. These are meant to be just a screen mirror. So your phone is connected via CarPlay or Android Auto, and everything else goes through your phone just like usual. So your comms unit goes right to your phone, any other devices you have right to your phone, but they do give the option of a direct connection. Remote controller, I'll pair in a moment. Those are both Bluetooth and GPS. I wanted to see this. Now the old AIO-6 used an external GPS that I had to stick right there. Let's see what this one is. Forgot I'm in the garage. I was gonna say, wait, maybe I need an external again? There's no wire connection, so that can't possibly be it. But yeah, I've got everything shut in here, so it's not gonna show a signal right now. Attitude calibration. I am on the center stand, so this should be maybe for a lean angle sensor. Please keep the data updated to ensure SOS alert. Oh, okay, that's cool. So it has an optional feature. If you crash and you're using a SIM card, either your own or their plan, it can automatically let somebody know. So we'll go ahead and start this procedure. It's just basically saying this is the upright position. So if you fall over, do stuff. BSD. Oh, the blind spot detection. Download. This would probably be for downloading clips. So you can go through the CHIGEE app, which I already have installed, connect to it, and then download your footage directly. Or you can pull this off and detach the card, which I strongly suggest if you're doing anything more than one little clip, because it's so much faster. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pair the tire pressure monitor sensors. I have them off the bike right now. First, I actually want to change our units of measure. I want Fahrenheit and PSI. So there we go. We have a high and low pressure alarms that you can set for both the front and the rear. So if your tire starts going flat, it's got a threshold. If it's overinflated and getting too hot, you've got a threshold to set. Let's pair. I'm assuming we click that. So it wants the front first. And then we've got our instructions. And I'm just grabbing one randomly. It doesn't make a difference. And now I'm going to install it onto the front. And they also have optional internal sensors if you wish as well. But the external, way cheaper, and you don't have to replace them when you get tires. So I put the front on and it detected it. Now we're gonna do the rear. And it looks like I need some air. I've had a bunch of different sensors on and off in between the last top off. So yes, that is accurate. I am down a couple pounds on each. All right, I'm gonna set my high and low values here. So my high values, I definitely have to raise up. And I know that they go up a good 6-7 pounds max in total heat. So we'll do about 48 and that will be good enough for that. 20 low, I'm gonna bump that up maybe to around 25-ish. There we go. Give me a little bit more warning without any false alarms. Cool. All right, now for the remote controller, let's pair it. Press any button on the remote to start pairing. Okay. Bada bing, bada boom, connected. Sweet. All right, open the door here. Let's see if we grab any GPS connection. Not sure I will, I'm still in total roof. This also has optionally connections to better later model bikes if you have an OBD2 port, and it will show all your bike data. There's a special one for even BMW where you can control it using the bike whiz wheel. But even if you have a standard connection and it's wireless, on the if this were 2 years newer, I would have it. It's under the seat. You just plug in a wireless module and you get all your bike's telemetry and everything right here on the screen. That's cool. It does show you a real-time lean angle, and of course the GPS will show you your altitude. Trip is your trip odometer, and I still have to find out how to switch it to miles. Real-time battery voltage, that's cool. All right, so these arrows here bring up kind of your little control panels, kind of like your dock. This will assumably go to your camera displays. There we go. That looks very familiar, like the layout of the 5. We've got an F here for the front, and it probably says B for the back. how do we switch? Just like that. So obviously I need to aim them. And this will, okay, so it auto undocks. That's fine. How do I go back? There we go, that's better. So how did I get to that screen? There we go. Okay, so you go to this other dash screen, and we've got this arrow to the right, and then that shows you your real-time lean angle with your speedo over to the left and your GPS heading and your tire pressure. So it's just a rearrangement of the stuff. What do you want to be priority? Speedometer, lean angle, what else do we have? And then everything. So it just goes between those two screens. All right, how do I switch to miles? Let's go ahead and connect to Carplay. First, I have to stop the video, connect via Bluetooth, connect via Carplay, and that'll link my devices. And we've got Carplay. Let's fire up Tidal. That is instant. Oh, that, it doesn't get any faster than that. I mean, it's as fast as you touch the screen. Love it. Let's try some navigation. Instant swipe. Do we have two finger? No, we don't. That's fine. I haven't seen one yet that does two finger, but a lot of motorcycle gloves only have one finger touch sensitive anyway. So I did gleam in the instructions, and I have no idea why the speedometer is showing random 1 to 0 kilometers per hour. It's probably working off GPS, but you know, it's funky in the garage here. Anyway, they call this the home screen. So you've got your speedo in the center, all your information around it. And then this is called the dash screen, and you have two options for the dash screen. I think the home and whole dash screen concept is a little redundant. I'm not sure what the entire point is. I mean, you're really only changing the center part of it. So it's a little confusing, especially since you've got three screens, but two of them are linked under this one. It would make more sense to me to have all three able to just swipe left and right through and not have this home and dash thing. That doesn't make any sense to me, but it's there for those that want this kind of information. Oh, and now I couldn't see this before because there was a little glare. There's like a tachometer sweep here, but it's a speedo. All I saw was this here. This kind of blended into the background gradient. It could be a little more contrasty. The background is kind of like bright and then feathers out to dark. It's not that legible. It looks like there's glare in the center of the screen, but that's actually the background of the screen. Just make it black. Forget all this gradient stuff. Now it's showing a beta firmware available, so I'm gonna go ahead and update to that, and I pulled it out here just so I can get a connection, and it immediately pulled up over 20 GPS satellite connections, so that's working fine. The beta just installed, and now it's going through this again, so I'm just gonna sit here and wait for a few minutes until it's all done. Aha! And now at the bottom of settings we have more, and we can change our main values. Turn that off. Camera switching, I'm assuming that's the feature the 5 had, which I really love. When you slow down to a stop, it'll automatically turn on your rear view camera. They didn't call it camera switching, I don't believe, in the 5, but that was a really good feature. I hope that's what it is. Now, the other thing I need to note is the app. I was going to review the app with this video. I'm going to hold off for one very important reason. It is still, like I said earlier, early access. It is in development. There are quite a few text areas and prompts and bugs. It crashes every now and then when you try to do certain things, so I'm holding off on that. But the basic features are all here. You can download your video clips, you can set the major settings and all that. So in the blind spot detection settings, we have a plethora of options now. And everything is explained. If you go into help, you can have it turn on and off at certain speeds, different sensitivities, whether or not you want it to activate when there's always a vehicle in the blind spot zone or just when it's slowly approaching, all kinds of different stuff. So that's very cool. Action camera control, I'm hoping they expand this a little bit. Right now it only works with GoPro, certain GoPros, and Insta360 cams. What it does is turn this into a remote screen. Very handy for framing or just making sure that you're recording. It's kind of like having a secondary camera or your phone mounted just to view what you're recording. I want it to work with DJI since that's what I use. That would be very cool. So I aligned my cameras. Now let's go ahead and make sure that they are calibrated correctly for the blind spot recognition. And there we have our lines. Now if you want to modify your camera settings, when you're on the camera screen, just tap and go to its settings here. It'll stop recording, and then you have all of this stuff. This is, again, in transition. You've got some things that don't exactly make sense, and these are also available in the app. And there we go. I just had to tilt that rear camera down a little bit to get my lines at the appropriate distances. All right, now I'm going to get out on the road, put some miles on it, let you know what I think.
So one thing I noticed right away, the speedo on the CHIGEE here, it's controlled by its internal GPS, and it's reading about 1.5 to 2 miles per hour slower than correct. And I don't just mean my dash. My dash is a US model 2014 FJR, and it happens to be extremely accurate for this year of this generation in North America, in the US. Canada is different, other regions are different. But against my phone GPS, it is dead nuts on, all the way up to about 90 miles an hour. So I can say for certain that the GPS in the CHIGEE here is reading incorrectly. Hopefully that's changeable, or some kind of firmware update fixes it, or even calibratable. That would be even better, because right now it is definitely off. Luckily, I don't really care too much about that, because when I use this, 99% of my use is Carplay. So looking at the speedo on the CHIGEE, not really that big of a deal, but it obviously stands out when you've got this discrepancy. And it is getting more accurate the higher I go. At lower speeds, it was off by a good 2. As I get higher, it gets closer to accurate. So it's just something in the calibration that's off. It's not a set amount. One other thing to note, I did top off my tires just before I went out here, and it did take a little bit of rolling to actually fully update. I've got some friends from back home in, not home anymore, but up in Michigan, and they're going to be moving down here very shortly and building one of these homes right here on the end of the street in just a few months. This is kind of like that scene in Back to the Future, the start of an entire new section of neighborhood, ready to go in. So I want to see that feature, see if I can find it. I don't think it's working right now. Probably just don't have it toggled on right. For when it turns on the rear camera when you come to a stop. Yeah, see, okay, there it goes. I just didn't notice it. That's all right. I thought I had it toggled on, but I wasn't paying attention. I think it actually comes on and turns off closer to 0 than the 5 did, because I would notice it turning on as I'm coasting, you know, probably 10 miles an hour or under to a stoplight or something. Let's see when it comes on here. Yeah, see, it's coming on at 0. Nobody around. Let me see if there's a quick setting for that. I prefer it to come on as I'm coming to a stop. Camera switching. I think that's the feature, but there's no setting for the speed. I would love to see an option for that speed, because I like the way the 5 did it better. I do notice the hard button, at least for the home, isn't responsive 100% of the time. I just had to click it twice there to get it to go. I don't know if it's lagging or if the physical button isn't clicking. I never had that problem with the 5. It's a lot faster here. No, see, I just had to click it again. That was definitely a click. Let me go back and forth a couple times. It's not every time. See, it's fast again here. That was a little laggy. I don't know. Pretty sure it's just a firmware thing. Again, not concerned. They are very good about quickly updating firmware, not only fixing bugs, but adding features. The screen is maintaining full brightness here in hot Florida sun. We're 93 degrees today, clear skies. It does not get any hotter than this on electronics outside. So, as with the 5, 0 fears about any kind of equipment failure or degradation in whatever conditions you find yourself in. Now, I don't know where the CHIGEE here is pulling its weather data from, but mine's an actual thermometer on the bike, and it's reading off as well there. So do not trust the information here 100%, other than the tire pressure monitors. Those are direct sensors. I have a feeling it's pulling LTE data from weather services somewhere in the area, maybe the closest airport, so that's not going to be exactly accurate. It's not an actual thermometer. So let's check out the dash cams. This is actually really exciting because they've doubled the bandwidth. Now gone from 30 frames per second to 60. And this video is in 60 FPS on YouTube, so you are viewing whatever it looks like right now. I have not viewed the footage yet. Here's the front, and here's the back. I do expect the back to be pretty much the same. The 5 split the processing equally between the two. And after I'm done here, I will take it out at night, and we will, of course, go through the night functions as well. Check out the screen, see how it does with the automatic brightness, and check out the dash cams. All right, it is almost dark. Sun has set. I'm going to go out and put a few more miles on it here. One thing I wanted to note that I'm very glad they changed here. One minor gripe I had on the 5, the button on top that turns off the screen, it used to just turn it off, and if you needed to turn it back on, you had to hit one of the other buttons to go back to one of the other screens. But now, the same button turns it off and right back on. That's exactly how I said the 5 should have worked, and now that's how the 6 works. Love it. So looking at the brightness here, it's still on auto, and it is absolutely dialed in. Matches my gauges just fine. I'm not sure how the camera is auto exposing for it, but to my eyes, it's absolutely flawless. I also love how they've got the speedo overlay here, even when you're on the dash cam screen. I don't recall that was part of the software on the 5. Now, granted, I didn't ride around with the dash cam screen on, but I just don't remember ever seeing that. We've also got the GPS heading overlaid in the corner there. Very nice as well, and it's well done. It's not overt. You can also turn off the data overlays for what you want recorded on the footage. So let's see how we can read plates here. I'm 1 car length away. Have to say, the display on the screen of the dash cam as I'm glancing down at it here is just fabulous. I'm gonna head into this parking lot now that it is completely dark to my eyes at least, and we'll just see how it picks up low light in light, then we'll hang out. Whoa, he looked like he was gonna go a lot slower than he did. Then we'll go out on the main road, get up to speed real quick, and just see how it handles motion at night. I tell you, it's really strange having this screen in front of me because you can almost see better looking down at the screen than in real life, because it's enhancing everything so much more, and it's so much larger and closer to me. You could almost drive or ride by the screen alone. It gives you that weird feeling. All right, let's head out, catch that last car, and see what it looks like. Well, that's not going to show anything because he's got some funky Jeep light on it, and you can't even read the plate by the eye. Let's try the next one. So we've still got some funky LED lights on, but I can at least read it now. I'm 1 car length behind. See how the camera looks. I don't recall what the field of view is on the lenses, but they look like they're probably about 120 degrees, pretty standard for dash cams. Doesn't look extra wide to me on the screen at least. All right, so there you go. That is going to wrap up my at least overview review. Again, it's early release. Things are changing. So if you pick one up near launch, expect firmware updates fairly quickly. expect bugs to be squashed and new features to be added, because that's how they handled the 5, and I have no doubt they're going to do it for the 6 as well. If you have any questions, drop them down in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them, and we'll see you next time.